We go a little something like this.
Hold on, wait a minute. Y'all hear that? I think it's time for the black brotherhood squad cash. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you all to the Black Brotherhood Squadcast. I am your host, DJ Gemini. Along with my prestigious panelists, Yancy, Nev, Holiday, and Magic. The black brotherhood squad. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome back to the Black Brotherhood Squadcast. We back to do it one more again. I am your host, DJ Gemini. Welcome my prestigious brothers to the stage, Yancy, Nev, Magic, and Holiday. But this go around, we added a little more testosterone to the Squadcast. We got a special guest. He goes by the name of Jason Campbell. Everybody say what's up.
What's up, Jason?
Welcome. What's going on? Good to be here.
Welcome, sir. Good seeing you, brother.
Oh, yeah. Likewise.
All right, fellas, let's go ahead and kick it like a Tribe Called Quest told us we can.
Can I kick it? Well, I'm gone.
The first segment up on the docket is Don't Penalize My Gender. Should female athletes be paid equal wages to their male counterparts within their individual sport professions? If you feel if so, or if you feel if not, please tell us why. Holiday, you first up on the mic.
I would have to say yes, but first we have to define what equal is. Of course, in a lot of these male sports, in the professional sports, males generate more money. So we don't expect it to be the equal in dollar amount, but equal in amount they pay out. So more than they're making now. And also put more advertising money behind the professional female athletes so they can generate more money. Right now, the disparity is not fair in the way they're treated as far as wages and promotion. They're put on off-brand TV networks. It's hard to find, to see, and there's not the same promotion behind them. They don't highlight the skill levels that these ladies have. And they don't promote the entertainment value, which is the whole reason that you go out to see these sporting events. So I think if they put more money behind that, it will help generate more money for them, which will allow them to make more pay. But as it is right now, I still think they need to up their pay as far as the professional athletes. Because the time that they put in these ladies, they still have to get second jobs, a lot of them. And they're professionals. And so you just don't think of that when you think of growing up as a kid, I'm going to be a professional athlete, and I still got to get a second job. It's hard for me to master my craft, and while I'm doing something else too, to support myself. So I definitely believe they need more pay right now.
Valid point. I like that. Pointing out the differences in lifestyles as a whole when it comes to female and male athletes. Yeah, so you up next.
Thanks, DJ Gemini. I'm just going to piggyback on what my brother Mick said. Holiday, I think it's just a matter of interest. The reason why I say that, because it just seems in society, the men professional sports are more exciting. People want to watch it. That generates the revenue, that generates the sales, that generates a lot of things. And then based on all that money is made, then athletes can for the most part, set the mark of what they want to get paid. Unfortunately, you don't have that in women's professional sports. I'm glad we have them because it's an opportunity for young women. But I think going back to what Mick said, a lot of it has to do with the marketing and promotion. So I don't know if it's necessarily men versus women. I think it's that organization like the WNBA or the soccer. They need to work within the confines of their structure to see what they can do to generate more money. But right now, I mean, let's face it, guys. I think men's sports just happen to be more exciting at this time, not to take away the talent from the women. I think the entertainment value, which Holiday spoke to, is much more significant in men's sports. And let's face it, a lot of people don't want to admit it in our society, but there is a difference between men and female. And there's more expected when you're looking at male sports that generates the excitement than, unfortunately, the women's sports. And again, that's not to take away because, like, you know, when it gets down to the Olympics or it gets to gymnastics and some of the female-defined sports that we're aware of, I think right now and the way it's been for all these years, the interest just happens to be overwhelming towards men's sports. And that's what generates the revenue and then the big dollars, which unfortunately you don't see in the women's professional sports. But that doesn't mean within that sport themselves, the organization shouldn't make sure that they're paying the optimal level to the women in that sports based on what revenue they are able to bring in. And I think that goes back to what Holiday was saying, because, you know, maybe the pay grade can go up depending on what the market values that particular profession at. But right now, I just think it's difficult because as a society, we just happen to be more interested in men's sports than female sports.
All right. Thank you, Yancey. Greatly appreciate your input. Two very good points from two different perspectives. Sorry. Once again, I'd like to welcome Jason Campbell to the Squad Cast. I would love to hear what your input is on Don't Penalize My Gender.
Well, once again, I want to thank you all for having me on here. It's a pleasure to just be able to, share my views and feelings on it. Certainly being an athletic director at the high school level, we pay a lot of attention to, I would say, being equitable with how we spend our money and our resources. And, a lot of that goes back to Title IX. But I do want to piggyback on what's been said before. And I think a lot of it has to do with interest. However, I think the media has a lot to do with what we as a society find interesting, where we put our dollars and where we put our time and energy as a media outlet also plays a factor in defining what we want to see. So they have the advertisements, they put the money into the male sports in a large way. And so as young people growing up, that's what you see, and what you see is what you want to be. And so a lot of that plays a part into it. But again, I think there should be an equitable piece in this, whereas again, as Holiday said, for these professional women athletes to have to go out and find second jobs, a lot of them are making life decisions, work decisions, life decisions based on income. A lot of them are have to choose between becoming a parent or not based off of income. And so it is a factor in this whole thing. So I would like to see more money invested in it. Just not too long ago when they had the NCAA, look at how they treated that environment, just in the resources alone. And unfortunately, because the NCAA is not a public facility, they don't necessarily have to abide by the Title IX rules and regulations. But we saw a vast disparity in just the resources, what they call swag bags, what the men were given as opposed to the women. The workout facilities, I think the women got like some dumbbells and the men had full on racks and everything. So, a lot of this is played into, as Yancey said, the societal views of how we view it. And so, again, I think that has to change. We have to do a better job with that. The last thing I'm going to say is I saw a segment one time on the San Antonio Spurs. It was a 3-minute video that was just showing the complexity and the level at which they moved the basketball. It was all on passing. It wasn't dunking. It wasn't anybody crossing anyone up. It was a 3-minute segment on how they moved the basketball. And as a former girls basketball coach, I've seen a lot, even at the high school level, the technicality of the game be highlighted. The respect for the game is highlighted because they can't draw on the athleticism. And I think that should be celebrated. We don't do a good enough job of celebrating that piece. And so it comes full circle. I'm going to leave it right there.
Wonderful, wonderful. I can definitely detect the passion in your voice on this particular topic. Just to let a listener audience out there know who are not too familiar with Title IX or what Title IX is. Title IX of the Education Amendments Act of 1972 is a federal law that states, no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation or be denied the benefit of or the subjected discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. But moving forward, Nev, I want you to close us on out.
Yes, sir. Thank you. But let me just say this. The WNBA, they're just going on by the NBA and WNBA situation right now. I'm going to say this. The NBA has a 50-year head start on the WNBA. So in some sense, the WNBA has some catching up to do when it comes to the full package of the sports, entertainment, business, and everything. They have some catching up to do to the NBA because that's a 50-year head start. Anything's going to take time. That's going to create interest and everything else that comes with it. Revenue, everything comes with just time. Back in the days, NBA players had jobs as well because they wasn't bringing in enough money through revenue. It had to build during time. So once the WNBA, seen a difference from the WNBA from 1996 when it first started till now. You know what I'm saying? So we've seen a difference of its growth to the point where you do have girls starting to dunk more and stuff like that. So you do see the growth coming. But like Jason said, you don't have the media pushing it as heavy right now. Even though it's been there for years now, it's been there for over 20 odd years, the media still doesn't push it heavy. You see it, but it's not pushed as heavy. So you don't see it on the main channel. Everybody don't have ESPN2 maybe. You know what I mean? So you might see it on ESPN every once in a while, but you don't see it. You see it more on ESPN2 being pushed. You know what I mean? So you don't have all the same avenues and same lane as the NBA has. NBA is a powerful machine. It's been out for a while to the point where they opened up. They joined partnership with WNBA to grow that more, but even still, they don't push it hard enough as they should. They are pushing it, but they're not pushing it as hard. And on top of that, when you have that, you have the jersey sales, everything is out there more for the NBA because it's more of an interest, going back to what Yancey and Richard said now. It's more of an interest for it. So you have that more revenue coming through the casual fan. You have people that don't even watch the NBA that have jerseys and stuff like that. They just have a large head start on the WNBA. You know what I mean? So, you know, time will kind of adjust things, but it will never, I don't think it will catch up to the male because it's just too much of a head start for the female counterparts. But yes, everybody should be paid equal for the equal thing they do. They both play basketball, so yeah, they should be paid equally. But that just time gap is just the problem right now.
Really appreciate that, Nev. Really appreciate that. Everybody's viewpoints on it are very valid, but I want to throw in a devil's advocate question, if you will. Jason, if you don't mind going first when I answer this question. We all know that there are serious discrepancies in regards to the wages that's earned by males and females. But Jason, why do you think that the societal uproar is not as prevalent when females are earning less wages in regard or in opposed to when males are earning less wages?
Again, I think it's a societal thing. I think it's a cultural thing. And right now in the present state, The people who are in control are mostly men. And again, it's nothing to take anything away from what's been accomplished by men. I mean, I certainly promote achievement for everyone, but it's just, again, when you look at how the media portrays things and they control what we see. So unless you're digging it for it, or unless you are being affected by it, then it doesn't necessarily come across your window pane. I mean, I saw something the other day on through media that said that Simone Biles won her historic 7th national title, and yet there were more ESPN tweets and promotions of the Mayweather Logan Paul fight. You know what I mean? We already know what that was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it was the buildup and the storyline behind it. Mayweather came out himself and said, look, he's like a legal bank robber. You know what I'm saying? Because it's basically stealing money. I'm not knocking that. If you can do it, do it. Yeah. But what I'm saying is the people who are being affected by it. So again, minorities, when we speak of minorities, going back to your question, minorities, if you are not in a position of power, you don't have the voice. So unless there's enough of you speaking out, your voice is not loud enough.
Right.
And what you have to have is somebody advocating for you to say, hey, this isn't right. You got to have an ally. There's not enough allies right now that's saying, hey, women are being treated this way. And when I talk about allies, it's got to be a powerful one. It's got to be like an Oprah Winfrey. It's got to be somebody that the world recognizes, that has a platform. It can't be, a smaller figure. So that's what's happening right now. And again, it is what it is the world that we live in. But the last thing that I'm going to say is I look at, going back to the NBA point, is the NBA is the parent of the WNBA. And much like I would hope that most of us are doing for our kids, although time is a factor, I'm trying my very best to not have them start where I started. It shouldn't take 50 years for the WNBA to get there. It's going to take time.
Right.
But that parent company should be, with the best of their ability, promoting, giving access, giving resources, so it doesn't take 50 years. But we'll see what happens.
I agree. Holiday, by this being a topic that you basically put on the table, I would love for you to piggyback on Jason, please.
Well, it's a couple of things. First, you used to start at home, growing up. How many of us went to see our mom or supported her in any sporting event, anything like that? It's not necessarily something you think of your mom doing. So if generally, especially in our time, hopefully it's not this way now, but if you had a brother and sister and they both had sporting events, well, the female would have to miss hers to go to the brothers. And when we talk about generating money and stuff like that, in society in itself, when it comes to using your mind, a female could be shown to be just as smart, if not smarter than the male. But if the male is in that same position, he's going to get paid more. Just how it is, and it's accepted. When you talk about generating money, Serena Williams brings the eyes to tennis right now, but she's not the highest tennis paid player. It's a few males before you get to her. So it's unfortunately they're considered Robin, and no one fights for Robin to be an ultimate superhero. We feel Robin should be happy to be the sidekick that he is, and so society has kind of placed them in that role. And so until they're not looked at as a Robin and accepted as real superheroes that they are, it's going to take time and it's going to be put on the back burner. So that's my view on it.
Okay, appreciate it. Yancey. One moment. I seriously doubt if you disagree with anything that Jason or Holiday has said. But if you was to pose an opposing viewpoint on it, what do you think that would be?
The only thing I could say is, and it goes back to what Jason had mentioned and what Holiday had mentioned, and Magic, as well as Nev, it's all about money. And sports is an entertainment. And entertainment is about making money. And unfortunately, right now, you're not going to get the revenue dollars that are generated by men's professional sports than women. Regardless, because as we've seen, you have a lot of female sportscasters. You have a lot of female executives. You have a lot of female higher uppers in these organizations, in these media outlets. Jason, you brought up a good point. Oprah Winfrey. When's the last time you heard about Oprah Winfrey? And I don't follow Oprah as much as some people do, but I didn't see anything come out about Simone Biles from her. And I remember getting that update because she also now has is either a flip or a routine named after her because of what she just did. You just did the Biles, the Simone Biles. So I think as much as we want to say, well, there needs to be action, there are people in position right now, but they're choosing not to because it's not going to make the money that they're looking for. I mean, there's no way any woman athlete out there right now is going to make more than LeBron James.
Yeah.
Or more than I think back in, and correct me if I'm wrong, I was looking at some statistics, but I thought back in 2010 or 11, Kobe Bryant made like $48 million one year, and the next closest female to him was like at 29 or 28. I mean, wow. You're just not going to find it, and it goes back again at the interest level. Now, Jason made a lot of great points, and one of the points that I really liked that he made was the fact that the media puts out there what you want to see, what's driving the dollars. Now, that's not to take away, because women's sports, it's good to have them. It's great for young girls to aspire to do that. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of female basketball players out there that got a better handle than most of the guys. But you're not going to get the dunking on top of the crossover. You're not going to get the excitement, because let's face it, when we go to watch sports, we want to be entertained, right? And right now, the entertainment, whether it's that 2 to 3 hour window to help us forget about things, for the most part, we're going to choose a male-dominated sport over a female sport. Now, the other thing that Jason brought up, which I thought was a great point too, was the fact that within the structure, like you mentioned the NCAA. Now, the NCAA know that within that organization, they should make sure that women have the resources that they need to have. So shame on them for not making that happen. Because again, that's within the confines of that organization, just like the WNBA. And Nev brought up a good point. Yes, the parent company is the NBA, but how do you get the WNBA, like you said, Nev, for your casual person that doesn't know about sports, but if you say, go pick out a jersey, they'll get a LeBron James jersey. They know LeBron, they know, Ben Simmons, they know, Giannis, even though we're down 2-1, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But the point is, how do you feed that interest? Because I don't have any children, but you guys that do have daughters, I know you guys encourage them to do the best they can. I know you guys go to every game you can, just like you do for your son's games. And there is a big interest out there, but when it comes to making dollars, it's just not going to happen, unfortunately.
Can I jump in real quick?
Sure, absolutely.
And because this interest that we're talking about, here's the conflict. Because it's not like we could not find the interest, but what would have to happen for people to be interested in, say, the WNBA, the reason why white men will watch Serena Williams play tennis is not because of her skill level at tennis. Mm-hmm. If and we joke all the time about the NBA back in the 80s, the uniforms that they wore. But what would happen if the WNBA picked up a style of uniform that mimicked the 80s, short shorts, right? But see, now here's the conflict, because what interests the people in control with the money, the men, about women is not their skill set. It's what their appearance. It's their appearance. It's their, sex cells, right? So that's where the interest would come from. And then that's where the conflict comes in, because most women would want to say, well, I'm not doing this for my body or for this, but that's where the interest would lie for the people who are in control. And there's the conflict.
Absolutely.
That's a good point.
That's a tough one right
I couldn't
there.
agree
That's
more. Before we close this out, I want to give anyone else an opportunity to elaborate if they'd like to.
I'll jump in there. Going on, piggybacking what Jason just said, that sex part about it. If you want to look at how they try to start a football league for females, you know what I mean? And half their body is all out there for everybody to see. And nobody seems to say it. I mean, it hasn't gained ground yet or anything like that, no major ground, but it's still there. You know what I'm saying? They're using sex to push that along. I don't know if that's going to work or not in that way. But it is there where you see them trying to use sex to push a sport along. Mm-hmm. So I totally agree with what Jason just said, that the males that have the money to push something want to see their parents maybe in a certain way before they get behind it heavily, I guess you can say.
Right.
But another thing I just wanted to touch on real quick, sports has always been known as a physical thing. You know what I mean? As a physical sport, whatever. And nobody's ever questioning the mental capacity of a female to a male's mental. That's not even a question.
Right.
Some may say female's mental capacity is stronger than a man's.
Right.
But all this stuff, sports is a physical sport where you use a lot of physicality, athleticism, and stuff like that. And, you know, so I kind of get where the physical aspect of it is, not questioning the mental aspect of it. So I'm just saying, like, that might have a little bit to do with, like you said, people dunking on each other, doing more athletic moves, jumping higher maybe, or whatever the case may be. It does come back to the physical aspect of the sport as well. So just want to throw that out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let me ask this too. Are we just inherently biased though as a society? Because is there anything, when you speak of just entertainment, and that's what sports is, just entertainment itself, is it anything that we say a female is more entertaining than a male?
Well, to answer Richard's question, I think yes. I mean, I think they can, but the question is revenue. It's not whether a female can do something better than a male. I mean, I think a lot of the male basketball players play basketball better than males. They got more skills.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I think Jason was saying, Mayweather, like, it's ridiculous that man he made $50 million, and he made Mayweather made $100 million. That dude ain't for the fight, for one fight or something like that. For the people to actually pay for that is ridiculous.
Right. That's facts.
But the fact that it happened, that's revenue. So
Right.
yeah, if the WNBA can find out a way to get food to pay for their to see the WNBA and get it on TV and get it marketed, do pay-per-view, whatever it is you got to do to make money, then I think, yeah, they'll make some money. But just like with NFL back in the day, nobody was watching it. So they didn't make no money.
Appreciate that, Magic. Appreciate that. We spent more time on this than I originally allotted, but I decided to do that because I really want to do females, their due diligence, female athletes, and just females in general, you know, even when it comes to, corporate America and them getting paid less than their male counterparts in their individual professions. Just to read off a ESPN researchable fact. When it comes to NBA and WNBA basketball players, the top paid salary player, in the NBA for the 2021 season is Steph Curry at $43,006,632 per year. once again, according to research done by ESPN. Russell Westbrook is coming in at a respectable second with 41.3 mil plus. The lowest paid player in the NBA is Mike James of the Brooklyn Nets at $39,000 a year. In 2021, the highest paid WNBA players are Sue Bird, DeWanna Bonner, Liz Cambage, Elena Delle Donne, Skylar Diggins-Smith, Brittany Griner, and Diana Taurasi. These 7 players will each earn a base supermax, and I harp on the fact that I say supermax salary of $221,450 for this past year. The base max
crazy.
salary is $190,000. The differential between the highest NBA and WNBA salary falls barely short of a $43 million difference.
Damn.
In the words of Alfalfa, can we say ridiculous?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That also, you got to remember, the main thing with revenue is games played. And the WNBA plays in the summertime. It's a short period of time compared to NBA. The NBA plays like 82 games plus playoffs.
Oh, yeah, valid point.
Revenue. That's why the revenue is so low for the WNBA. They got to figure out a way where they can play 80 games. Stack all the people and the fans in the stands, do all and compete with football, whatever else, other sport they can try to compete with.
Right, absolutely.
That's a good point, Marcus. And, female sports are great, but again, it's not even unfortunate. It just happens to be there's more excitement in male sports, especially professional sports. Take away the sexual connotation from it. Men's sports are just more exciting, and when people are paying good money to see some action, they get it more by watching the male sports. And the reason they can't do it, they got to do it in the summer, is because in the summer, you're not competing against, the main two, which is the WNBA and NFL. And
like Yancey's saying, I'm sure if girls could play college baseball, and then you told them they could go play baseball, professional baseball, and they could make a lot of money doing it, I'm sure a lot of women also do that sport.
Yeah, and I like, college softball, fast pitch. I mean, there's a lot of great sports out there, and a lot of great athletes. But again, and you guys know yourself, if there's a WNBA game on and an NBA game on, who are you going to watch?
All right. We're going to close out this segment of Don't Penalize My Gender. All my brothers, as well as our special guest brother, all had very strong, valid points. And once again, I hope we did female athletes as well as females in general due diligence by bringing light to this particular topic. There's no change without dialogue. So, hopefully, once people listen to this and hear about it, they be willing to step up and do whatever they can, to support the fight of females being paid, if not equal, at least closer to being equal of their male counterparts in their individual professions. But once again, Jason Campbell, we greatly appreciate your time. We greatly appreciate your input. We greatly appreciate your passion. From the Black Brotherhood Squad cast, you have a wonderful day. Take care of the family.
Jay.
We love you, bro.
Thanks, Jay.
Keep up the good work, Jason.
I appreciate you all. It's good to see you all. Thanks for having me on here, and I appreciate the conversation and topic. More power to you all doing this podcast. It's amazing. Keep up the good work. Love y'all.
Love you,
Love you,
bro.
Mr. A.B. Mr. A.B.
All right, one love. One love. Attention all Black Brotherhood Squad cast listeners. I am your host and moderator, DJ Gemini. I cannot stress enough how important it is for y'all to log on to IG. Follow us at the Black Brotherhood Squadcast. That's at the Black Brotherhood Squadcast on Instagram. Follow us, you know what I mean? See what we had going on, see what we got going on, and see what we will have going on. Also, if y'all got any topics y'all want us to flip the script on, hit us up at blackbrotherhoodsqc@yahoo.com. That's blackbrotherhoodsqc@yahoo.com. I'm DJ Gemini, baby, for the Black Brotherhood Squadcast. Let's get back to the shizzo. Next up, I want to get into a little short segment. It's called 2 cents in 2 minutes. I know y'all wasn't expecting this, but that's the whole idea.
Yeah, because I wonder what the hell he's talking about. I'm looking back at this. I don't remember this.
I'm going to throw every last one of y'all a topic. If you don't know about it, I can give you a little background, quick background history on it, and just speak on what your thoughts are about it. Magic, you up first. All right, 2 cents in 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes to give me your 2 cents on the topic that I throw at you. Conversation has popped up as of late on whether or not Chris Paul is potentially the second greatest true point guard in NBA history next to Magic Johnson. What is your thoughts?
Hell no.
Yeah, that's pretty blunt.
Don't get me wrong. I have been an advocate for Chris Paul for the last 6-7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had Chris Paul's back. Mm-hmm. I've always had Chris Paul in my top 5.
Right.
In the last 5-6 years, I feel like Chris Paul is a great point guard, but when it comes down to being one of the best, I just can't put somebody in over somebody who's had more achievements and has done more than what Chris Paul has done. Even though I will say that point guards are point guards, and I've always felt that point guards are not necessarily guys that win championships. And only really for me, it's been 2, and that's Magic Johnson and Isaiah.
Right.
So outside of those 2, I couldn't even imagine putting somebody in front of them 2.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Now, do you feel he's a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook. I mean, a lot of them. I mean, it's being a first ballot Hall of Famer is to me statistically being able to show over a good period of time that you're a good ball player statistically. That can get you a first time Hall of Fame.
Right.
I agree. Or possibly being on a good team and having decent statistics can also, to me, assure you of being a first time Hall of Fame. And like I said, Chris Paul he just had bad luck. I mean, if he would have played with Kobe and with the Lakers, maybe he'd have won more championships by now. I mean, we might look at him differently, but it didn't happen. So I can't assume what may have been for him. But even looking at Chris Paul as of today, it's the team. It's not Chris Paul. Chris Paul is just running the team.
Right.
But Booker is the guy.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. I appreciate you 2 cents in 2 minutes.
I'd like to thank Marcus for so adequately pointing out, because I was always curious how a point guard is a point guard. Because I was wondering if a point guard might have been a shooting guard but thanks you, Marcus, for clearing that up for me. You pointed out that a point guard is a point guard. Oh.
And we all know, the greatest, second greatest point guard is Neville Ford. We all know that.
There you go. Big man.
All right, Holiday. You next up on 2 cents in 2 minutes.
All right.
Are you aware of the Cat Williams Cedric Entertainer situation?
Not at all.
Okay. Cat Williams accused Cedric the Entertainer of stealing his joke and using it in Kings of Comedy. The joke that he claimed that Cedric stole was the if you think back, where Cedric talked about being in a deuce and a quarter Cadillac, and he played the song Cutie Pie.
Cutie Pie.
Like he was pimp punking spaceship, because the Deuce in the Quarter Cadillac was like a big ass spaceship.
Yeah.
Cat Williams said he was actually in the crowd when they recorded Kings of Comedy. Of course, he wasn't known then. He was just up and coming. And he was shocked and hurt that somebody established as Cedric Entertainer was still his joke. Now, Cedric has replied by basically saying, you know, in his grown-ass man tone, look, I've been doing this when you was in diapers. I don't steal nobody's joke. That's something that, you know, us as comedians take real serious.
Right.
And he likened it to, you know, rap artists stealing each other's rhymes. We don't play that.
Yeah.
And he was like, but I'm not going to get no back and forth with you, brother. I don't know what you're going through. I'm praying for you. You know, I think you're real talented. And you don't need to try to throw dirt on my name. Throw light on yours. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so unfortunately, when you started explaining it, or when you first brought it up, I just wondered, like, what Cat going through now? Because that seems to be the pattern. When he's down, he looks for someone else to almost put out when a misery needs company.
Right.
He starts complaining about something. I would have thought that if this was true, you'd have definitely heard about it when he was on top for a minute. He had the spot for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good time that you kind of can bring it up in light, where it's not going to be as, people might not take it as personal, or, you know, to say I had a joke similar, or, you know, did he steal that from me, kind of in a joking way. But when you ain't been doing nothing, you know, in trouble financially and different things like that, you just seem to be lashing out. You find something, you know.
Right.
Okay, said so your joke from Kings of Comedy. Now you bring that out. You know how people talk now, like we just got finished segment, this information age that we're in. I was just surprised that he hadn't said that to nobody before, and nobody else has talked about this or said, yeah, man, I remember Cat. Or they brought it themselves, man. You know, said so, Cat show. I heard Cat when so this just come out of left field nowhere. And once again, you down on your luck according to some things, it just doesn't seem credible.
Right.
So that's without knowing, and if you just ask me to, you know, from the outside looking in, I would say, you know, Cat doesn't seem credible, you know. But at the same time, if he got his joke stolen from him, you know, guess you should have got it out there. Where did he perform it at that said happened to hear it?
Right.
You know, that he used it and made it. It was pretty funny. So, you know.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Of course.
I also feel bad for Cat, man. I'd rather him create more comedy than stories, if this is a creative story. Stories like this. You know, bringing another brother down.
Exactly. Yeah, and of course, you know, Steve had Cedric's back. He was like, man, Steve, Sid wrote that joke in 91. We was in a hotel room together when he wrote it. So,
yeah.
Saying stuff like that, it kind of, like, you know, that kind of crumbles the credibility of your story. All right, I appreciate that, Holiday.
Yeah.
All right, Nev, your 2 cents is needed on what I call the T-Pain rant. So give me your comments on the following.
Oh my goodness. Something else. Just you know when your shit sounds like somebody else's shit. You're making it because you think because you're in the studio like, what's the #1 record right now? We need to make another one of those. Stop doing that. Stop. You're not original. Give me some original shit. Give me some. Are you seriously telling me that you sat here and watched me tell a bitch to eat a dick and you thought that wasn't original? Are you seriously sitting here telling me that eat a dick is the bad part of music? Stop. Just fucking do something else. Just, God damn it. Do some different music. We have all the shit that you're doing. We already have it. Lil Uzi Vert is already doing it. Lil Baby is already doing it. Dub Baby is already doing it. It's literally 2 niggas with Baby in their names that's already doing all the music you want. Do something else. Do something else. That's it. That's all we want. Do something else. Holy shit. We have it. We have it already. You don't have to do that music anymore. We have the music already. We have Lil Baby. We have Dub Baby. We have Lil Uzi Vert. We have Lil Yachty. We have Lil everybody. Do something else. Holy shit. Stop sending me this bullshit. And then get mad when I fucking don't like it. Jesus. Goddamn tap dancing Christ.
Tap dancing. Wow. Tap dancing Christ.
All right, man.
That's funny.
What is your 2 cents in 2 minutes on the T-Pain music sounds the same these days rant?
I mean, he has a point. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he don't have a point. You know what I'm saying? Especially the stuff that come on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, you know, I still listen to the radio from time to time just to hear what's going on. But he has a point, because, like you say, they trying to dumb down our kids, for real.
Right.
The game that's going on when it comes to music. So they playing all this little stupid music on the radio. Or the sexually active music on the radio that bring, you know, that's going to slowly brainwash our kids, like the music brainwashed us when they gave us gangster music.
Right,
you know
right, exactly.
So it brainwashed us, so now everybody got to have this machismo and all this shit. And now everybody going to jail. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody got all these cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all that other shit because they try to be the toughest dude because they think they need to be a gangster because NWA said something from back in the days. You know what I'm saying? So,
right, absolutely.
They just try and brainwash our kids with not brainwash, but dumb our kids down and not give them good music or socially conscious music or anything just clever. You know what I mean? At least clever or different. I mean, it's out there.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. You just gotta find it, or whoever you want to fit your mode or whatever different style you look for, it's out there. You know what I'm saying? It's just,
absolutely.
People ain't
yeah.
looking for everything. You know what I mean? Not a lot of it, that's what's up.
Yeah, it's not sitting right in your face like it used to, it was years ago. So yeah, you do gotta search for it.
Because the radio would put out good music back in the day. So that's why we hold on to our generation so much. You know what I'm saying? I believe there's rappers that's just as good as the rappers from the 90s. That's out now. You know what I'm saying? But back then, they put the song on the radio that was good music, creativity. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had their own style. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, I think me and you had this conversation one time. I think I came to you one time with this conversation. I said to you, I said there will never be another socially conscious rapper to make it big on the radio.
Yeah, I really
We'll never get that again. We'll never get that again.
I really saying.
Anybody that's become big now, it's about, you know, sexual stuff or the hood stuff still, you know what I'm saying? You don't have that.
Right.
I mean, and if it's different, you're getting it from, you know what I'm saying? No, I don't want to play the black-white thing, but you're getting it more from the white rappers. Because when you hear the white rappers on the radio, they're not giving it to you. You're not hearing the stuff that the black rappers rap about. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
So it's just kind of like, what's going on here?
Exactly. All right, we're going to move on.
All right, Yancey. 2 cents in 2 minutes. Your topic is, I want your thoughts on there being no fans being allowed to attend the Olympics.
DJ Gemini, I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame because I think they should allow fans in the stadiums. I think they should allow spectators, not just spectators that are there, but those coming from other countries. Because I think in the big scheme of things, what you're seeing is the start of another panic to keep people from doing their everyday normal activities that they're used to doing.
Right.
You've already seen it start in some of the cities here in the U.S., but if you're not going to have spectators there, I think it's a waste. Now, granted, you have millions of people that'll be watching on TV, but part of the pumping up of the athlete is having the people there cheering in the stands.
Right.
You know, and I think that takes away a lot of the whole excitement and the aura behind the Olympics. I think it's a shame. I think it's a bad call, and I wish they would change it. Yeah, and personally, if you're not going to have the fans there, just cancel it. Push it back to next year.
I have heard some people feel that way. It should be canceled.
Yeah, push it back to next year. Every time somebody sniffles or sneezes or something new comes up, what are you going to do? Just tell people they can't go out? You have people that have, saved money, that have planned these trips, and now the Japanese government doesn't want to allow spectators. And I don't know how much of it is them plus the International Olympic Committee, or if it's a combined thing. But honestly, if you're not going to allow spectators there, just postpone it to next year then. Just cancel it.
I got you. I mean, everybody feels different about it. I appreciate y'all doing 2 cents in 2 minutes. Attention. If you like those sweets and treats, drive yourself down to Waldorf, Maryland. That's 2084 Crane Highway, and walk yourself up into Mixin' Sweets. They got those cakes, pies, cupcakes, and cake sickles. They got people out here patting their wrists and scratching their forearms, fiending like Pookie in New Jack City, catching mouthgasms and tongue spasms. I'm serious out here. I can personally vouch for the banana pudding, the red velvet Oreo style cookie. I'm talking about it's off the chisane for real. If you got those diabetes, warning, be careful. I ain't trying to be funny, just trying to keep it 100 like a football field. Mixin' Sweets, hit them up on IG at Mixin' Sweets. That's MIX, the letter N, SWEETZ. Mixin' Sweets, owned by the Cake Girl. Go get your sweets and treats, baby. I'm DJ Gemini from the Black Brotherhood Squadcast. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the second half of the show. I am your host, DJ Gemini, for the Black Brotherhood Squadcast. We're going to keep this thing rolling like an 18-wheeler. Next up, our segment is called HR 7120. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2021. The bill would require all state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies to report demographic data to the Department of Justice, the DOJ, if you will, for all parties involved in law enforcement actions, including traffic stops in the case that deadly force was used. Fellas, I need y'all to express your thoughts on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, as well as why you feel it has not yet been passed as a state law. HR 7120. Speak on it, Magic.
I think it's a good law. I think it's moving into a good direction to, try to get equal justice as far as police officers, not profiling racial people. So I look at it as a good law. It's moving to a good direction. I think at this time there's a lot of crookedness going on with the police department as far as being equal and treating people fairly. And the police department, I feel, is it's almost like I look at it like almost like they stick together, and they feel like, this is like 30, 40, or 50, 60, 70 years ago, where for my personal opinion, is where police was formed to kind of intervene, I'm gonna say against blacks mostly, to try to just like destroy, or try to just, whenever they wanted to, like, make things harder, for black folks. And it's to keep a watch so they can just, on us, so that we can't move forward.
Right.
Like I said, I think within the police force, I think there's a lot of crookedness going on as far as protecting people, and just the thing that's been going on for a long period of time, which now, like I said, with some of those laws, can kind of get rid of that. And then we can, as a whole, just have better police officers that can actually, do their job as a whole better.
Right.
Because I think the police officers of today don't get the proper training, that they need, so that they don't have to have these. So these laws that we're trying to put in they don't need these laws to protect them, because they're going to do their job better. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. Holiday, what's your feelings on it, bro?
I believe it's they feel, like you say, like Magic said, it's good at policing the police a bit. Why I think it hasn't passed, because it was introduced by Democrats, and the Republicans are going to block it or play political game with it. They got to give them something. It's not based on if it's right or wrong to them. It's always a political toy. If they give something, they want to get something. So until you dance with the Republicans, unfortunately, they probably get hung up in Congress. It may not even get addressed, as it's been just hanging around for a while. So as long as the Republicans keep playing politics and with certain bills and things, especially now with the Democratic president, and then they're feeling kind of funny about the midterms, or not the midterms, but this last election. So they're playing politics with the policy. So until that's solved, that's why I believe it's not passed. But as far as the bill and everything, I believe it's a good bill. As you can see from podcast, my beliefs on that. So that's all I have, really.
Appreciate that, Holiday. Appreciate that. Yancey, I'd like you to get on up in here, please.
Thanks, DJ Gemini. The HR 7120, from what I've seen of it, overall, it talks about transparency and accountability. And there's already a lot of laws on the books for that. I think, unfortunately, as Americans, we're being used by Congress to create a racial divide. And any instance that they can use to divide us is what they're going to do. Because for every George Floyd situation, there's probably 20 or 100 more about police officers helping people and saving people's lives. And you got Republicans and Democrats that are living high off the hog that want to see this country divided so they can keep doing what they're doing, which is maintaining power. And the way you do it is to put the race tag on every single issue. Do we want accountability and transparency? Yes. But are all police officers bad? No. Are all doctors bad? No. Are all dentists bad? No. You got bad apples in every industry. But why would you want to take away the rights of the people that are supposed to protect us when they're dealing with a criminal? That's what I don't understand. 9 times out of 10, and I said this before and I'm going to stick to it, 9 times out of 10, if you do what the cops ask you to do within reason, whether you agree with it or not, you try to be respectful, mannerable, and then you just take care of it in the courts afterwards. They want to stop the chokehold. Okay, let's put it like this. Let's say you was in a fight with somebody and they said you couldn't use a chokehold because you think it might be bad when you're trying to get the advantage over the assailant that's messing with you. Are you going to not use a chokehold? What's the other thing they want to do? Chokehold. Oh, no-knock warrants. If you ain't doing anything wrong, does it matter if they knock or not?
Say, huh? What?
Why do you want to give? Obviously, they have a reason for this no-knock warrant. Why would you want to give the person that can endanger you an opportunity to get on the offensive? If you look at it without a race issue tied to it, that's where it is, because you get emotions and you get people thinking, yeah, this is wrong. But there are a lot of laws already on the books. There's a lot of transparency laws already on the book. There's a lot of accountability laws on it. The Democrats are just trying to use, unfortunately, what happened to Mr. Floyd as a reason to perpetuate division in this country. And we do a disservice to ourselves, I believe, to think that there's not already stuff on the books related to HR 7120 that can already be enforced. Why would you use a man's death to try to gain political control by keeping the country divided, making it a race-white issue? Why? How come when white people get killed by cops, you don't see that on the news? And stats show they get killed by cops more often than blacks. When's the last white person name that you saw in the bill to save them or to protect them? They're trying to purposely divide us. And Holiday brought up a good point. Yes, the midterms are next. So what are you going to hear? You're going to hear people saying, don't vote for this person because they didn't want to push through HR 7120. Not that this is not an important issue, but there are a lot more important issues out there that we have to deal with as a country. And one is realizing that we can't keep making everything about race. The police, unfortunately, yeah, they're bad apples, but there's bad apples in every industry. You just can't, I don't believe, me personally, you can just group everybody in there. And all this is doing is being more divisive because like Holiday said, the Republicans are playing a game. Okay. So he's already got the viewpoint that the Republicans don't care about black people that got to get killed by cops. And I don't think that's the case. But I think Republicans are part of the issue, just like I think the Democrats are part of the issue, because they all want to create the divide. Because when you create divide, it makes you feel like you're important for your side and you need to be valued. I just think it's wrong.
Greatly appreciate that perspective, Yance. I do want to double back around after Nev goes. I want to pose a question that I want everybody to kind of weigh in on. But before we get to that, Nev, please, do you have anything to respond to Yancey, Holiday, or Magic has said, or a point that may not even been touched on as of yet?
I don't really want to get into the politics that much, really. I just want to say that, for one thing, I just want to ask a question to Yancey real quick. Is that a fact that you're stating about white people being killed more by police officers than black people? Is that a fact?
No.
There's some stats out there that show it.
No.
Because I've never heard any stats like that. You know what I'm saying? That white people are killed by cops more than blacks. I've never heard any stats like that.
Okay.
But just going off just what I know, you know what I mean? Ever since videos or cell phone videos has come around, we've seen it a lot more of cops killing black people a lot more for different reasons, for whatever. I've never looked at not listening to a cop to be a death sentence for anything. You know, that shouldn't be for anybody. You know what I mean? If you running from a cop, that shouldn't be a death sentence unless you're trying to shoot at that cop or you're doing something to harm other people. But just not listening to the police is not a reason for your life to be on the line. Period, point blank. Nobody should be treated like that. I believe this bill is needed. You know what I mean? Everything should be transparent. Everybody should be held accountable for whatever they do, whatever actions they do. I don't care, black, white, whoever you are. You know, whatever the cop look like, they doing something wrong, they should be held accountable. And then when you see it put on video for the world to see that you're doing wrong, then you should be held accountable for what you've done. Simple and plain. I mean, it's just right, and it's just right. It's just what you're supposed to do as human beings. Treat everybody the same way you want to be treated. That's stuff that they don't teach kids anymore, and people growing up, because people don't care how they treat anybody anymore. So we believe there's a lot of fear when it comes to black people with these white cops, because they rush to use force very quickly when it comes to black people. When it comes to white people, I don't see that force being used as much. Period. I've seen a lot of things where white people have gotten, you know, that little grace there where stuff can be de-escalated before it turns to force. But when it comes to black people, force is the very first thing. I mean, not saying they don't talk to them at first. They go through their little talks, whatever. But once stuff gets when stuff gets heated up, or whatever you want to say that may cause this change in the dynamic, once it gets heated up, now force is immediate. There's no thought process. There's no second thought. It's always force. It'll be gunned or slammed to the ground, whatever. But when I see it, on the other hand, when it comes to white people, it's a hesitance. Like they're thinking about it first before they jump straight to the force. So that's the difference I see from my own two eyes, from videos that I've seen from all types of different areas, from different shows or whatever the case may be. That's how that action goes down. So I believe this bill is necessary just for the transparency and the accountability, because we've seen too many cops do a lot of things wrong to blacks, whites, whoever, and they get off. You know what I mean? We've seen that too much for people to just keep accepting it. Oh, they're police officers, we just have to accept it. Yeah, some people are just bad people. You know what I mean? You have good, you have bad, yes. But if you're a good cop watching somebody do bad things to somebody, you're just as guilty as that person. You know what I'm saying? Just like if I murdered somebody and Yancey's with me, he's going to jail with me, even if he didn't do anything. You see what I'm saying? Even if he just watched me do it, he's going to jail because he is accountable. He's an accessory to the fact. So that's the same as policing. So the transparency and holding people accountable will have people more hesitant from jumping to the, not only violence, just how the treatment of certain people. You know what I mean? I'm not always just going to say the violence or the shooting or whatever. The simple treatment of a human being a certain way.
My brother spoke for me. No, Sub, I didn't say all. I don't speak in those terms. I wasn't referring to all Republicans believing that, however you worded it. Another thing, you referred to a system that we're telling you that's broken. So though these laws are in place, they haven't been effectively used. If you can go all the way back to the Rodney King incident. We had it on video then. This should have been tackled years ago, but we were told then, we didn't have the audio. So here, we have to come strong now because we got the audio with the video. So now what's your escape? Your escape, when we had plain video, they beat the hell out of that man. They said, he wasn't being compliant because we couldn't hear what was being said. Well, you heard this man begging. It was implied he was lying there on the ground begging for his life. So there's no way out of this one. So now we have to come as strong as we ever, because years ago when this could have been, 30 years of difference could have been made, we were told we didn't have audio. So we're always rejected when we try to step up and show you things ain't right. So you can't keep telling us what's on the books, because that don't work. And if you say as laws there, they're not using it correctly. So we have to bring about laws like this to make sure those laws that you talk about then are used effectively, and the system doesn't keep repeating itself. Again, this could have been addressed 30 years ago, man. They beat the hell out of Rodney King. There shouldn't have been no audio needed to do something about that. Right. But they walked away. They walked away because we didn't have audio. So now we're telling you, man, we got everything you need, video and audio. So now, come up, man, pass the law. We're showing you changes have to be made.
Absolutely. Gans, like I said, I wanted to double back around to pose a question. And if anybody who wants to weigh in on it, feel free. You had mentioned that the Georgia Policing Act, HR 7120, involves the removal of police officers wanting to use or being allowed to use a chokehold.
Right.
As well as the no-knock warrant.
Right. And it was one other thing.
Yeah, you mentioned that, if you're not engaged in any type of illegal activity or doing anything wrong, just to put it in layman's terms, should it matter? Should they have to knock or not? What would you say to the family of Eric Gardner that in which the chokehold was used on him, and what would you say to the family of Breonna Taylor, in which we all know the no-knock warrant is basically pretty much resulting in her death?
Yeah.
What would you say to those particular families having the mentality on that you do?
The first thing I would say to those families would be, I would apologize, because I don't think, regardless of the circumstances, I don't think any death should be used to exploit or promote political ideology and to divide us. So the first thing, as a Christian, I would say, I am so sorry, and I pray that God will give you the comfort and strength to help you during this difficult time. Only He can give you that comfort, and only He can give you that strength to deal with that. Mm-hmm. After that, if they continue to talk to me or they want to speak further, I would tell them, I would say, those are several unfortunate issues. And don't get me wrong, guys. If you're doing something wrong, regardless of what profession you're in, I believe that you should be held accountable. And there's consequences to every action, and you have to be responsible for it. My issue, though, is when you're trying to promote something to purposely divide people. There are people in this country that want a civil war between blacks and whites so badly they can taste it because they're going to benefit from it. Now, you guys know that when we were growing up, we would have cops, didn't matter what color or anything like that, would play, would say what's up to us, would play with us. We try to do what's right. And we, for the most part, as we were growing up, that I know, we didn't really have any issues. And that's not to say issues don't happen. But we have to keep in mind, there's a reason why people are pushing this. They want to destroy us. They want to destroy this country. And the way to do it is by emotion and getting people fired up, making it a black or white issue. So to Breonna Taylor's family and to Eric Gardner's family and to all those that have unfortunately lost their lives to police misconduct or what is believed or conceived to be police misconduct, my first thing would just be, out of a compassionate person, is to say, I pray that God gives you the comfort and the strength to deal with this. Like Jason brought up, Mr. Campbell, back in our previous session when we were talking about the media. The media puts out there what they want you to believe and want you to see. I believe in accountability and transparency, but there's a reason why they want us to keep arguing and fighting about this stuff, guys.
Right, absolutely. I greatly appreciate you answering that question, Jans. I know I probably caught you off guard with it, so I greatly appreciate you indulging me with that. Would anybody else, as a closing argument to this particular segment, like to respond to anything that Yancey just said? Anyone at all?
Yeah, I just wonder, what is more painful and divisive? The fact that for years, we as a culture have been telling you there's a problem and that you won't accept it, or that you keep telling us that things are not as bad as we say they are, and to accept them as they are. That's the divide. We've been telling the other side, however you want to put them, Republicans, white, whatever, just us as a people, we've been in pain. You've been holding us back. You've been in our way. And you won't accept that from us. You keep telling us we need more evidence. No matter what we give you and show you, then you tell us, well, don't let people divide us as a country. Fuck, it ain't people. Other people, it's the ones that won't accept the fact that we're telling you we're in pain. No one's brainwashing us. You won't accept it. You keep telling us things are okay. You're not in pain. Don't let someone else tell you you're in pain. No one else is telling us that. We're telling you that. The other side, and they won't accept it. So that's why it becomes political side. Because you're telling us to accept things the way they are. And we're telling you things, for years we're telling you things are not good the way they are. And so now we're bringing more and more evidence. And it's more and more resistance, and that's what I don't understand. Do they just have to line us up in the streets and gun us down? Which, I mean, it seems like they do, but you need more and more evidence, it seems, at times. And then when we show you some, you run to the drastic measures of all. So because everyone's not doing it, it's okay that the ones that do it? And if that's not the case, then let's not talk about the ones that are not doing it. Those are not the problem then. We're not telling you about the good cops. We're talking about the bad cops. So I don't believe no one ever said all cops are bad. But that's what you run to when you ask for change to a system that exists right now. No, leave it alone because they're good cops. No, I'm not saying they're not good cops. But you don't change, you don't keep the workforce or the system where you have it at a job for bad employees. You make changes to those to get rid of those bad employees. But you tell us to accept these bad cops because they're good cops. It's not a fucking balancing act. Okay, we can let these ones kill because we got these ones that don't. That's bullshit. And that doesn't address the problem that we're telling you exists.
There it is.
I'll close on that, my time.
Appreciate that, Holiday. Appreciate that, Holiday. I know this, as the more and more we go into it, a lot of people can, a lot of us can come up with more and more things to touch on in regards to it. But I do want to close out this segment. I want to thank everybody for their input on HR 7120. Just as a closing thought, I pretty much keep up with a motivational speaker by the name of Warren Ballantyne. I just want to read off a quote from one of his motivational speeches in which he was speaking on something similar to this particular topic in regards to the police violence that's inflicted upon minorities. He says it's called the I thought syndrome. I thought it was my taser when Dante Wright was murdered by Kimberly Potter. I thought it was my apartment when Botham Jean was murdered by Amber Geiger. I thought I saw him or her with a gun when Tamir Rice was murdered by Timothy Loman. I thought he was selling Lucy's when Eric Garner was murdered by Daniel Pontilio. I thought she was there alone when Breonna Taylor was murdered by Jonathan Mattingly, Brett Hankerson, and Miles Cosgrove. And last but certainly not least, I thought he looked suspicious when Trayvon Martin was murdered by George Zimmerman. We greatly appreciate everyone listening. We hope that we did HR 71 some justice, being that if you are for or against the bill being passed. We'll move on to our fourth segment in just a moment.
The total support pouch from Hanes can help you achieve balance. Vista mesh panels for perfect separation and support. Secure. Separated. Supported. Find your balance. Vista Total Support Pouch from Hanes.
This is our last segment of the show. I ain't gonna lie to you, it's one I've been looking forward to. It was presented by our brother Nev. It is called Preventing the Ship from Wrecking the Relation. See what I did there? Share your thoughts and opinions on how to maintain and conduct a successful marriage or relationship. Nev, this is your baby. I would like you to go up first.
All right. Well, here we go. Keeping up a good marriage. I mean, there's no one science. There's no one way to do it. There ain't no science behind it or nothing like that. So first and foremost, speaking to like young people and stuff like that, people coming up behind us because, 4 out of 5 of us are married. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Like, just speaking on that. So, like, young people first got to understand that your decisions when you pick somebody that you want to be with, you have to actually want to be with that person. You know what I mean? That is something that I think is overlooked. You know what I mean? People think that it's about sex or how much money somebody might have or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever the case may be, whatever they look for in a person. It might just be about that, but you have to simply just really want to be with that person because it's just a long road, it's a journey, and it's hard to get off. You know what I mean? I mean, people do it all the time, jump off ship all the time, but it's not that easy to just do, especially when you have kids. My little ways to keep my marriage successful, I should say. I believe time apart from each other is a very important thing. You know what I mean? You have to have some time separated from the other person. If it's daily or weekly or whatever you may need, that's a very important thing. Doing things together, small things, going to the grocery store, just going out for rides or whatever is a very important thing as well, though. So you can't just push one to the side of, just keep thinking, I need to be away from him. You got to spend time with the person too. So her or him or whoever you're talking about, it's a balancing act between time. Another thing there is, it's a little tricky one. I look at it as biting of the tongue. You know what I'm saying? The biting of the tongue is very important. I mean, everybody can have their pride and want to stand up macho, I'm the man, this, and that. But everybody that know that's married, we all really know who wears pants in a marriage. You know what I'm saying? You can say it's you, but more times out of not, that female holds a little bit more of the strength in the marriage. You know what I'm saying? And we're not always gonna fight them when it comes to that, because we're supposed to hold our females up on a pedestal in the first place. You know what I'm saying? If you choose that woman to be with you, you have to make that woman your queen for real. You know what I'm saying? You can't it can't be on and off, or I'm tired of her this. Yeah, you're gonna be tired of them all the time. She's gonna be tired of you. It goes both ways. You know what I'm saying? So people who sit around and be like, I can't deal with her. She can't deal with your ass too. You ain't that great. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be a fine balancing act. And the main thing I'm just saying is the commitment to it is the most important thing. You can love somebody all you want. You could this, that, whatever. But if you don't commit to it, and like I said, really want to be with that person, it's not going to work for long. You're going to find a reason to leave the situation. You see what I'm saying? And you have to commit and, like I said, want to be there. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, one little quick thing I always tell people when I say this, just real quick, Joe. When it comes to cheating, right? Because that's a big problem in this country or wherever. It's a big problem in relationships, cheating. I always tell people, when you have kids, you're not only cheating on your wife or husband, you're cheating on your kids. You know what I'm saying? So if you love your kids so much, you would think twice about sleeping with somebody else, because the main thing is you're cheating on them as well. And those are the people that you're going to hurt the most at the end of the day. With your cheating acts, and if you get caught cheating, you have to go through a divorce and all that, you're going to hurt these kids. And that's a major, major problem.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Speaking to commitment and humility, self-humility. Magic, you being the panelist, the only panelist that's not married, please give us the point of view of a single man, or a man that's just more or less, free to do what he do when it comes to female companions.
I'm totally in agreement with kind of what Neville said at the beginning. I don't think there's any magical, special way to have a marriage or great relationship. That's just not how it works. For me, being married once before, and going through that process, and not being ready. So I'm gonna take it to a point where I think if you have a better chance, I'm not gonna say you will, but I feel like you'll have a better chance of having a successful relationship or marriage. If you're ready, like you have to work on yourself first. Like like Neville was saying about cheating. Like if you know you're gonna cheat, then you shouldn't be getting married. If you know that you don't want to deal with a person that's a certain way, then you shouldn't get married. Because to me, that's the beginning of being able to have a long-term relationship or marriage, because you're happy with yourself, and you have a good idea about what you want. You have a good idea about where you're going in life, and being able to face challenges, and because you just, like I said, to me, in a relationship and marriage, it's up to two individuals to make it work. But it's just going into the marriage, to me, that's important. Because if you go into the marriage with being positive and happy and having good energy and ready to, ready for those, bad moments and good moments, it's always going, all that's going to be there. So I think that's just, you can prepare yourself for a good marriage. But once you're in a relationship and once you're in a marriage, there's no way of knowing, because things change. 10 years pass and you change as people, and you have to work on things. So there's no special way of doing it or anything like that. It's just, but to me, if you happy within yourself, and you're positive, and you're and you're ready for that kind of a challenge, thinking about how you're going to do things together versus how you want things to be, because it's not just going to be about you. It's going to be about it's going to be about both of y'all. And I'll leave it there.
Okay, cool. I really like your point, Magic, about no one remaining the same throughout a relationship. That goes for the physical. That goes for your beliefs in various things, and in terms of what you might think about religion. Y'all might start off on the same page, and then somewhere 5, 6, 7 years down the line, y'all paths may differ. And that goes from what you should spend your money on, how to raise the kids, where you should live, whether the kids should actually go to private school or public school, or so on and so forth. So nobody stays the same, as they was when you first, linked up, for the lack of a better term. But Holiday, I would love you to get in on this, preventing the ship from wrecking the relation.
Speaking of ship, I think that's what the first thing. It starts with a good friendship. That teenage friendship, like when you were young, your best friend then. You didn't you wanted to spend every moment with him. As soon as you woke up, you called him. Him or her, be it male or female. You called them. You wanted them to come over. You wanted to go to their house. You wanted to know if they could spend the night. You wanted to spend the night at their house. You know, you want to do what made them happy. They want to do what made you happy. You never got tired of being with them. That's that kind of friendship you need. And that type of friend that at that time you was doing enough to tell everything. Which brings me to the next thing, honesty, which is needed in a relationship. That person has to be able to know you. So the things you hide from them, you only hide from them ways to make you happy or satisfy you. Things they hide from you, they only keep from you things that allow you to possibly make them happy and satisfy them. So we have to be honest with each other and with ourselves, how we are in a relationship. That way we're open to get better. If we think we're always doing everything great, then there's no room to grow. If you can't grow, eventually you die out, and that'll bring an end to the marriage. So you always want to leave room for growth. Communication becomes the key. You know, you have to communicate with each other. You have to have that open communication, which brings you back to that friendship. You were able to tell your best friend anything at the time, and you didn't always have the right way to say it. You were just able to say it. They appreciate your honesty and made necessary changes, especially if they told you something that, you know, you told them something that hurt your feelings. They wouldn't do that again. Or if they told you something that hurt their feelings, you wouldn't do that again. You know, if folks were honest with each other as a teenager, that's when that friendship needs to be brought to the marriage. I give the best example I can give. If you think of two people standing in front of each other, the spouses, if each spouse has the other one's back, they never have to turn around and care for themselves because that person in front of them has their back. It only brings them closer. But the minute I have to care for myself and feel that you don't have my back, well, I have to watch behind me. Anytime I have to watch behind me, you back up. That brings you apart. So we have to be able to stand there and trust that the other one has the other one's back. And until you, for young kids that previous panelists spoke to, you know when you get into a marriage, it's all about compromise. Everything. The minute you stop compromising, that's bringing the marriage to the end. You're compromising for the rest of your life. And I'm not saying that to make it like it's a bad thing, but that's what you're doing. Every decision now you make, you're making for two. When you decide to do whatever you decide to do, you've made that decision for you and your spouse. And you have to realize that when you get into a marriage. So you have to be willing to compromise, open to make change because people change. What y'all liked in the beginning, you may grow not to like about each other and may need to eliminate from the situation. Because what you liked in the beginning, y'all were dating. You're now married. And so it could be different. And so you have to be willing to accept those differences and make those changes. That helps you grow together to the point where you know your spouse, when they're going to do something, they know when you're going to do something. Y'all can enter a place and be out in separate rooms, but no, it's about time to go. My spouse ready to leave, and you know, the signals and all that stuff. You come to grow when you pay attention to each other. You'll grow to those points over the years and have a successful marriage. But the minute that you no longer want to compromise, you start looking outside of your marriage, and that breaks the marriage down.
Wonderful. Before Yance gets up in here, if y'all don't mind, hopefully I'm not overstepping my bounds, I'll go first. If everybody could just basically quote, and I know Magic, you can't basically participate in this particular part, but if those of us who are married could share with the listening audience how long we all been married. For me, 17 years.
For me, in September, it'll be 21 years.
Wonderful.
For me, in November, it'll be 14 years.
Wow. 14 already. That's all right. Yancey.
For me and my wife Shannon, in December, it'll be 16.
16.
Wow.
Wonderful.
I remember that last place. Daggone it.
So we got 21.
I think that'll be me.
21, 17, 16, and 14. And Magic, you've been married to us for 40 plus.
Yeah.
He's still putting up with us.
I didn't want to leave y'all, man. I had to figure out a way to get you up in there. But Yancey, please, you go next, man. Close us on out here. Preventing the ship from wrecking the relation.
I think the only way, and thank you, DJ Gemini, and I appreciate all the insights that my brothers shared, and it's definitely a blessing to be married if you have that blessing from God to be married. You guys know where I stand. This is from a biblical perspective, which I believe is the one true and only perspective. But I know we said there's no secret or there's no magic pill, but there actually is a secret. And for me, the secret is having a God-centered marriage. And the reason I say that is because when I didn't find myself leading like God intended the man to lead in his family, that's when the ship started hitting the rocks. And it got so bad that my wife almost gave up on it. So once I started to improve my relationship with Christ and get back to doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing as a Christian man, not perfect, but realizing that I need to do what God wants me to do, because the first and most important relationship in your life is your relationship with Jesus Christ. After that, the second most important relationship is a relationship with your spouse, if you're blessed to be married, because Christ tells us that we need to love our wives like he loved the church. And when I, always knowing that, but putting away my selfishness and not willing to compromise and not willing to do things the way I needed to do, that's when the rocks started coming up, icebergs, whatever you want to call it. But once I was able to realize that, why would my wife follow me if I'm not a good leader? And I realized in order to be a good leader of my family, I have to improve my relationship with Christ. And that's what I've been working on. Do I have good days? Yes. Do I have bad days? Yes. But the key is having that constant example of how we're supposed to conduct ourselves as men. So for me, the secret is having a God-centered marriage, because marriage is tough. It's a blessing, but it's tough. Because like you said, people change, people's preferences change, especially if you have kids. And my wife and I, we don't have any kids, so I can't imagine what those who have kids are dealing with. But as a man, we were created to lead our families. And we were created to lead them spiritually, which is first and foremost. So if I can give anybody advice on how to make a marriage last or continue to last, because it does get tough, is to grow your relationship with Jesus Christ and look at the example that God has given us in scripture and do your best to follow it. Because it's nothing like leading or doing your best to lead as a godly man and your wife is willing to lead, is willing to follow. And that doesn't mean subservience. It doesn't mean, I'm better than you, or I'm better than her, or she's better than me. What it means is that your wife feels comfortable and protected in the decisions that you make. Now, do I make all the decisions? No. My wife makes a lot of the decisions. But when my wife is like, you know what, you handle this, that's what I do. That's what I do. And when we have our ups and downs and when we have our struggles, I go back to scripture. I go back to God. What do I need to fix in my relationship with him so my wife can see that I'm trying to be the Christian man that God ordained me to be? And we've had some rocky times, brothers. I know it's been a while since we talked. We've had some rocky times.
Right.
And there were some times that I had to cry out to God to say, Lord, help me.
Right.
Help me make this work.
I can imagine we all have over the years. When we were younger, we would pretty much know, if somebody was going through something, day by day, because we was around each other like that. We was talking to each other like that. But now that we're all grown, we got our own families and spouses and things of that nature. And, we got a host of responsibilities within our own individual lives. And then, basically, as you get older, you become more private by nature. You're not, Nev is not going to call Holiday and be like, hey, man, guess what me and Melissa just went through? Magic's not going to call me and say, hey, Gemini, I'm having this issue with Michelle and, da-da-da-da-da. Now,
if we really feel that strongly about it and say, hey man, I need my brother's, viewpoint or advice on this, yeah, I don't think we would hesitate to do that. But, basically as you get older, we're not into telling everybody every little thing. But we all have our own individual challenges, whether it's fatherhood or marriage, or just relationship in general. This is the particular segment that I wanted to also share. My 2 cents, if you will. As Holiday said earlier, gotta have friendship first and foremost. Friendship can basically lead to love. Love can lead to allegiance. Allegiance can lead to family, and family leads to legacy. So that's pretty much how I handle it. I'm probably the only one on the panel that has been married twice. And I believe I'm the one who started having kids first. But basically my wife and I, man, just like anybody else, we have our problems, we have our trials and tribulations. But we really try to limit them, make them, less than most. We do a lot of different things to try to keep our marriage and our relationship and our friendship successful. Things such as what Nev spoke about earlier, doing things together. Tanya and I, we read books together. Right now, we're currently reading Rev Run and his wife Justine Simmons' book called Old School Love. We do something called buddy reading. She reads a page, I read a page, back and forth. And then after every chapter, we discuss, and try to relate whatever the book is about to our own lives. Just to continue to learn things about one another, because it's a host of conversations that you think you may have had, or you might think you know how your spouse think on, but you really don't until you really get into it. Also things like I'm very big on not going to bed angry. Now you might really, you might be upset, or whatever the case may be, but we're not going to sleep unless we let each other know how we really feel about one another in terms of the fact, or at least let the other person hear, I love you. I got a cousin, I ain't gonna say his name, put his name out there right now, but I got a cousin, his first wife, they got into a huge argument one night. It led to the first time they ever slept apart, and they had been together for 13 years. He decided to go sleep on the couch. She decided, of course, he let her stay in the room. And his last words to her, I can't stand your ass. He went and lay down on the couch. Next morning when he got up, he really felt, horrible, basically, by saying what he said. And, just the whole argument, as a whole. So he walked in the room, to wake up and, let's try to mend this. She was gone. She had a brain aneurysm in the middle of the night. So
that's really hard.
I'm sorry?
That is absolutely horrible.
Yeah, horrible story. He actually told me that I think it was probably about 6 months before Tanya and I got married. So he was like, don't y'all ever, I'm serious, don't y'all ever go to bed angry with one another. Now you might be in your feelings about something, but still get them words out. I love you, regardless. I ain't too happy with you. He said, even if you gotta feel, you gotta say, I don't really like you right now, but make no mistake, I still love you. Well, I'm still in love with you. Because like and love is two different damn things. If you're married long enough, you're gonna have a whole lot of moments where you ain't really feeling each other like that. But at the same time, if somebody say something bad about them or somebody try to get at them, it's on. So, but just getting back to what I was originally saying, Tanya and I try to do things like date night. We love our son to death, but you can't be a part of everything. So sometimes, me and Mama, we need our one-on-one time. We need to dress up same way we do, when this to use an old school word, when we was courting, when we was dating, You know, let me get spiffed up. Let me throw on some Kenneth Cole cologne, whatever the case may be. You know, she get all spiffed up. And we go out somewhere, you know, go out to a show, you know, pre-pandemic. Go out to a concert, go out to eat, whatever. Even if it's something cheap, go bowling. You know, just to keep it simple. You know, but you definitely, to speak to Nev's point also, and also Holiday, I believe he said something about this. Speaking to humility, you know, not knowing how to bite your tongue. There's a lot of things you're gonna want to say. It's just like when we doing this, and you know, 2 or 3 of y'all may have opposing points. Hey, yeah, we can go all day, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now that's good for the podcast because we got people tuning in. But when it comes to the marriage, you can't do that if you plan on it lasting anyway. You know, right. So you do gotta know how to bite your tongue. You know, everything that cross your mind ain't gotta come out your mouth. Just to end my piece off, real quick. The word fear can keep you from achieving a lot of things, man. You know, and I kind of break down the word fear like this: FEAR, of course. Fear. You can either fear everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. It all depends on how you want to use fear to your advantage or your disadvantage. But Holiday, I know you wanted to get on up in here. Say what you got to say, baby.
But one of the greatest compromises us men can realize in a marriage is pretty much they're going to get their way, and we just got to figure out how to accept it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
For the most part.
Yeah, you don't agree. That's why you're not married. Exactly.
One more time for the person in the back.
But remember, you know, it takes two. They have to do their part too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's some biting their tongues too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Because
I feel it's equally. It's supposed to be 50-50. Like it's equal. Unless you have an arrangement where it's different.
Right, absolutely.
Some people can't function 50-50 because if you ask somebody to pay some bills and you depend on them to pay the bills and then every month they can't pay the bills, then
that's true.
You have to say, you know what, I'm gonna take care of the bills.
That's true. I want to speak to something real quick. Exactly. I want to speak to something real quick that if Nev don't mind. Trust me, it ain't gonna be nothing like super personal, so you good.
You good.
But Nev had shared something with me. He had said something, basically. We were just talking. And he said, man, you know, there's certain things I'm not good at. Joe, a real name. There's some things I'm not good at, Joe. So I let Mel do that. You know, I do what I do, what I'm good at. She do what she good at. At the time, I didn't actually share it, but actually, I was thinking when you were saying it, I was like, yeah, Tanya and I do the same thing. Now, yeah, I got the money, so does my wife. That means we got it. But when it comes to paying the bills, when they do, you know, when they get paid, and this is without automatic payment. She got the dates laid out. So I let her do what she do. I mean, she's a financial manager for the government. Say, hey, of course, you got a damn degree in this. You do what you do. So, you know, everybody got to know their role that they play in the relationship. And be able to accept your role instead of saying, no, I'm the man. I'm the one that got to pay the bills. I'm the man that got to do this. I'm the man that got to do that. Nah, it don't work like that.
My wife can sign my signature better than me.
Facts. She knows my information more than I do.
Exactly.
All my information. I'm like, what's my social again?
Because it goes back. Exactly. Because it goes back to trust. Because
absolutely.
You know, again, like I said, going back to scripture, we're supposed to love our wives as Christ loved the church. And the second most important relationship after your relationship with Christ, if you're blessed to be married, is your relationship with your wife. That's the second most important relationship because you become one flesh, as the scripture says. but there are defined biblical responsibilities. And as the man, we're supposed to be the spiritual head of the family.
Right.
You also have to remember that just because you're married for 20 years, if that's what you're striving for, that doesn't necessarily mean you're happy.
That's true.
Yeah, you're right.
That's true.
Because some people are married for 20 years, and like kind of what Joe was saying, the guy pays all the bills. The guys do everything. The wife sit at home and don't work at all and take care of the kids. But if that's what makes them happy,
if that's what works,
it's all about what makes you happy. It's not necessarily for me. It's not a certain way. Like Yancey saying, you can do it through God. You can do it through other religions. It's about you and your spouse being happy.
Right.
Building
into a marriage and relationship. Now,
exactly.
Some people are married that aren't happy.
Yeah, you're just married for convenience. You're married because I'm not financially set to go out on my own, so I got to stay married to this dude.
It's
or,
because
I ain't trying to have my kids grow up without their father in the homes. I gotta maintain marriage to this woman.
That's because their happiness
based on convenience.
Yeah, their happiness is misplaced.
Right.
Their happiness is in the wrong, because you guys that are married and Marcus, you were married. Marriage is tough. It's a blessing. It's exhilarating. It's like I said, to me, it's the second to Scripture. It's the second most important relationship there is, but it's tough. We have to work on it.
Yeah, it is work.
And it's a lifelong commitment.
It's work.
It's a lifelong commitment. You guys talked about communication. You talked about honesty. You talked about loyalty. People nowadays, they get married for the wrong reasons. When things get tough, they're ready to abandon ship instead of batten down the hatches.
I couldn't agree more, Yancey. I could not agree more. Well, let's go ahead and put the cap on this thing and twist it up real tight. To all our Squadcast listeners, we definitely hope you enjoyed the show. This concludes our last segment, preventing the ship from wrecking the relation. It can only be my desire that anything that has been said in this particular segment, or in this particular episode for that matter, has helped and provided thought to individuals who are currently in a marriage or long-term relationship, or maybe you just recently got into a relationship and you're trying to figure out how to navigate through it. Hopefully something we've said has helped you, spark thought, like I said, and if not, at least entertain you, for the value of it. But anyway, I am your host and moderator, DJ Gemini, for the Black Brotherhood Squadcast. On the behalf of my brothers, Yancey, Holiday, Magic, and Nev, we greatly appreciate your support. We greatly appreciate your time and greatly appreciate your ears and your listening and your thoughts of your minds. Till next time, we love you like a fat kid love cake. Don't cease to peace. See about it.